Om. 10 Commandments, the Principles of Arya Samaj, Part 21. The seventh principle, the duty of love, Section B. Kshatriya, his stern functions. The duty of administration and war falls on the Kshatriya. He punishes offences in accordance with the verdicts of the Brahmana. He keeps law and order. The world, as it stands, requires a class of society to be stern rulers. The life of the Kshatriya is also a life of austerity, less severe only than that of Brahmanas. Luxury would he the Kshatriya's poison. His ambition is to achieve power, the acquisition and maintenance of which both require a hardy, painstaking temperament. Police, such as obtained today in London, and army, such as obtained in India in the past ages, which kept fighting. While just in the vicinity of the field of battle, peasants went on undisturbed, plowing and tilling the soil, and peaceful activities of the towns were not at all dislocated, are two of the typical lines in which Kshatriya tendencies can have full play. Patriotism and love of liberty, for which all countries profess to wage war, are sublime sentiments which waifs and strays of the society picked up as today for military life can never understand. The Kshatriya, according to the Arya conception, is to be a man of high education, mental and moral, who had an adequate practical schooling in the essentials of social and ethical discipline. The business of the police and the army is to protect the persons and properties of citizens and safeguard the honor of males and females. Those that discharge of this duty faithfully in the time of peace cannot, by the recon of their very training, visit tyrannies and outrages on the enemy's subject when war ensues. Interests of humanity, which are sacred in one's own country, should be sacred in other countries as well, for humanity is the same all the world over. The political ideal of the Arya Samaj. The political objective of the Arya Samaj is to make every country self-governing. The society, as it is constituted, cannot take part in the current politics of any country. The teachings it imparts do, however, tend to breed in its members love of their motherland and a readiness to serve its righteous cause. The Arya Samajist cannot be liberty loving and free at once in thought, speech, and action. His political motto is to live and let live. He undertakes war only if others transgress this golden rule of international politics. Exploitation and foreign rule he will not allow, even when the armies of the transgressing nation have been defeated and he is free to dispose of the throne in the subjugated land as he will. He will make his enemies feel his strength, but will not reduce them to perpetual bondage or what is more hypocritical, insidious tutelage. The victorious army should at once evacuate when the administration of the conquered country has been placed instantly in competent native hands, and the observance on the parts of rulers of international laws in future has been ensured. The conduct of the Arya has, as noted above, to be regulated by feelings of love in all spheres. The Arya states should be as scrupulously fair and honest in their national and international affairs as the Arya Samajists in their private lives. The system of ethics which insists on personal probity among individuals but leaves the moral relations between states and communities untouched is an incomplete and extremely partial system of human morals. Greatest sins and highest virtues are practiced in the name of the state. State morality gives its color to individual morality. Its scope is very vast and its effects extremely profound and far-reaching. Vaishya, the repository of wealth. The banker and the landholder, who between them are the distributors and producers of wealth, are the third social class under the Aryan system. Theirs is neither honor such as the Brahmana receives, nor power such as the Kshatriya enjoys. Theirs is wealth. They are neither legislators nor administrators. They are repositories of country stores, the arteries and veins which keep up the circulation of the life blood in the country's body politic. The double control on them on the Kshatriya and the Brahmana will keep under proper check their vanity and selfishness, the two concomitants of wealth. Shudra, the menial. The lowest class is Shudra. Its duty is to service and its privilege safety. The Shudra labors with the body as unfit for any higher work by reason of his intellectual inferiority, which no provision by the state, though tried honestly and long, has been able to remedy. This classification is natural. How to make it righteous? This classification is natural and obtains in rude, haphazard forms in all countries. The population in all climes may be roughly divided into these four classes. The Arya Samaj would remove the injustices and irregularities which characterize the actual haphazard and therefore erroneous working of the system in the states of today. Birth caste in India and wealth caste in the countries of West are both abuses, equally pernicious, of the natural Vedic system of Varna. While self-denial in the person of the Brahmana has to be installed on its old pedestal of highest honorability, the warrior has to be made hard-working and just and capital and labor both ousted from the citadels of power. For neither capitalism nor Bolshevism can solve the nations. The keynote of the mutual relations of persons, classes, communities, and nations must be mutual love. The object constantly to be kept in view, as pointed out in the foregoing principle, is to promote the physical, spiritual, and social welfare of the whole world. The means for the achievement of this object will, in cases of different persons and classes of persons, differ. Hence, the qualification of the sentiment of love by addition of the formula yatha yogya, that is, in accordance with the condition and merits of the recipients. These merits against have to be determined in accordance with the dictates of dharma, which term, because of its exposition in the fifth principle, is now familiar to us as meaning what conforms to the rules of right. The reader will see how each preceding principle contains in it the seed of the one succeeding, so that one commandant follows another in its natural sequence. Our duty in relation to subhuman beings. The duty of man does not end with his love of man alone. Standing at the head of all creation, he owes an obligation to subhuman creatures as well. His attitude towards these also should be governed by the same principles, namely those of love, propriety, and righteousness. While the first attribute, namely love, is to be the guiding note of his inner motive, the second, that is propriety, will be the criterion in choosing the means, while considerations of righteousness are urged in order to refer him ultimately to the eternal code, namely the Veda, the injunctions of which alone will give his powers of discretion the right lead.